Hey moms, welcome to the Mom Mindset Show where we talk all things mom life from A to Z. I'm your host, Rachel Benson. I'm a wife, a mom of 6, a grandma of 7, a real estate agent, and a life coach for moms. I've been through every age and stage of motherhood, and I've never met one I didn't like. I've also never met one that didn't come with its share of challenges and personal growth. As moms, we set the mood and tone of the home. We're the emotional support and the cheerleaders for everyone in the house, not to mention the cook, the chauffeur, and the housekeeper. There's a lot to know and do, and that's what I'm here to help with. I want to help you create the home and family life of your dreams, and I do that not only by helping you with the skill set, but more importantly, the mindset that can really help you succeed as a mom. Thanks for being here. Let's talk about what's on your mind today. Hey moms, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you are having a beautiful day wherever you are and whatever you're doing in whatever season it is. Right now, as I'm recording this, it's mid-November and it's still so beautiful. There are crunchy leaves on the ground and lots of beautiful, colorful leaves still on the trees. And Thanksgiving is coming up, and that's my favorite holiday, and we're going to celebrate it a little differently this year. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how you're feeling about all the upcoming holiday celebrations, but I thought it would be a great time to talk about time management because so often the holidays that we all look forward to in so many ways also become the busiest time of year. And sometimes we get so stressed out and frazzled that we don't take time to intentionally enjoy them the way we would like to. At least I know that's true for me and a lot of moms I talk to. So I want to help you out with that and maybe give you some time management pointers and helps that I have worked out on my own over the years through learning about a lot of time management systems. So in a bit, we'll get around to some specifics, but let me lead into this by just saying something I heard from Stephen Covey, who is the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. When asked, what's one of the biggest success tips that people can use for, a successful life? And he said, if people will plan their weeks, basically use their time intentionally, that is the key to having a successful life. He often said that the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. He was all about figuring out what are your priorities in life and giving those your best attention instead of all the other things that come up that are vying for our attention, but really aren't our highest priorities. So I totally agree with Stephen Covey, but I think he missed something, if I dare say that will do in even the best of time management systems and even the Franklin Covey planners that were so popular back in the day that just could have you organizing every minute of your time will not be successful if your mindset is not in the right place. Surprise, I said it, and I'm only 3 minutes into this podcast. Before we look at any kind of time management system, we have to look at the story that we're telling ourselves about our time. I personally had an epiphany about this a while ago that was similar to what you may have heard me say about the day my kids stopped driving me crazy, which basically started with me realizing that I was constantly telling myself that the kids were driving me crazy, and that sort of song playing on repeat or computer program running in my head was really the culprit, not my children, not anything that was going on outside of me. It was essentially the song in my head, the story in my head about my children and how they were what was driving me crazy, that was tripping me up day after day and making me sort of a frazzled and impatient mom that I didn't want to be. And all of us have a story about our time, just like I had that story about my kids, which I was then able to change by identifying it. So all of us go around saying things like, I'm so busy and there's never enough time to do everything. And my famous line that I have said for years was, my time is not my own. I'd just be out for a walk with a friend or whatever. And, I'd be telling her what's been going on lately and how, I thought I was going to do this thing, but then this thing happened with my kids or something. And, well, you know how it is. My time just isn't my own. And, all your friends will just agree with that. And it's totally understandable. It definitely feels like that when we're in the thick of things with mom life, and we can have all the best intentions, and then things change as the day goes on. Someone is sick, we were needed for something else. We went to help someone out, we do have to have a lot of flexibility built into our lives as moms. But with a thought like my time is not my own running through my head all the time, the result of that is I don't claim my time as my own. And so it just gets away from me. And then I feel like so many things outside of me are affecting me. So I just want to ask you to think a little bit about what your thoughts about time are. What are your phrases that you say all the time? As I'm saying this, are you identifying with that feeling of my time is not my own? Everybody always needs me. Like, I'm never caught up on anything, the housework, the laundry, taking care of the kids, like other projects that I want to work on, all of those things. Oh, and on top of that, I should, go help my neighbor or my parents or, somebody else. And we're always expecting so much of ourselves. And that is great because it shows that we care for sure. But with a thought going through your head, like my time is not my own, you're probably even less likely to be able to fit in all those things that you want to do for your family, for your house, for your neighbors, your extended family, not to mention like the things you would enjoy doing, like personal projects or going out to lunch with a friend or something like that. So the secret to it really is to find a new way of looking at your time after you have really contemplated, like, what's the story you're telling yourself about your time, because those are all just thoughts and they're optional. And I kind of hate that phrase that thoughts are optional, because I know it feels like, no, those are the facts. Like, I'm raising a young family and, I put them first. I put their needs first. And that is awesome if that's what we want to do as moms. And I think a lot of us do. Like, we want to make sure that our kids and family are our priority. But there's a totally different energy that comes from saying something like, my time is not my own, to another thought that might be more helpful to us. Like, one I like is, I have plenty of time for all the important people and priorities in my life. I also should add properties in there, because I have a lot of properties in my life too, whether it's helping my clients or rental properties. So I have plenty of time for all the important people, properties, and priorities in my life. Is a little phrase that I like to think when I'm sort of thinking the other way, that, my goodness, my time is not my own. When I'm coming from a thought like, I have plenty of time for all the important people and priorities in my life, and I can do the exact same things that I was already doing, but I will have a totally different energy in doing them. It'll be like, yeah, these are my priorities. This is what I'm doing. So I didn't get to that other thing. So the house isn't perfect. So the lawn isn't mowed. So I didn't get an awesome dinner on the table. I did what was most important today, and that's how I chose to prioritize my time. Totally different feeling. And just to give you a couple examples more on the, I guess you could say, the positive side of thoughts that might serve us better, I was thinking about one of my neighbors. She just always seems to be going a million miles an hour, but not in that super rushed way, but she just gets a lot of things done. And if you ask her, like, how do you get so many things done? She will say something funny like, I don't know. I think I just have other hours in the day that other people don't have, which is so funny because you always hear like, we all only have 24 hours a day. It's how you use them. And I don't know. She's figured something out. Maybe I need to get her on the show. But also, my daughter Ellie just is always really on top of things. And I asked her one time, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you get so many things done? And she's like, I don't know. I just never procrastinate anything. What an awesome thought, right? Like, that's a belief. That's a thought that you don't procrastinate anything. That's not what we would call in coaching a circumstance, because the facts are, I do certain things ahead of time or before they need to be done or something like that. But the idea that I don't procrastinate anything probably isn't necessarily true. There probably are things that she procrastinates, but for the most part, she just does things as soon as possible so that they don't end up tripping her up, and she runs out of time for important things that she wants to do. Another thing that I thought about as I was preparing for this podcast was a time when my kids were little, and I used to not like to ask people to babysit my kids if I could at all avoid it, because I just never knew how it was going to go with, a few kids. If someone were to take a few of my kids, they were so close together in age and everything, and I just thought, oh, it's going to be so hectic for them. But one time, one of my neighbors said she would watch a kid or two. I'm not sure which of my kids she was watching, but she's like, I can do it. I'm not that busy. And that sentence just broke my brain because I think she had like 5 kids of her own. And I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever thought that way. And there's just other examples I could give you. Just one more that came to mind was one day I was in the doctor's office and I heard someone come in and say, oh, I'm here a little early, so I'll just wait or whatever. And I was like, I don't think I've ever said those words because I usually come in like right at the last minute because that's a belief I have programmed into my brain that I do everything like for the most part right on time, but sometimes a little late. And that's just kind of a strongly held belief about myself. It's like, I'll get there on time, but early, no way. And I liked that phrase so much. It tickled my brain so much that I started going places early sometimes just so I could say that phrase, like, oh, I'm here a little bit early. And I get such a kick out of hearing myself say that it makes it fun to go places early just so I can say those words. So I hope that those thoughts that I've just given you have helped you to reflect on your current mindset about time, because the best time management system in the world will be helpful to an extent, but it cannot overcome a fixed mindset that I don't have enough time. There's always more to do. There's not enough hours in the day. That cannot be fixed with better scheduling. It can be helped, but it can't be fixed. The most important place to start is just between your ears, as always, with your mindset. And whatever you've been thinking, whatever you've been saying, it's all totally fine. But you always just want to look at how are those thoughts serving you? What's the result of those thoughts? Because if you go back, if you've heard me talk about the self-coaching model, our thoughts always tie into our results because our thoughts create feelings, and feelings create actions, and actions create results. So if you're thinking, my time is not my own, and you're feeling overwhelmed, then you're going to spin around and take frantic action. And the result is you don't claim your time as being your own. So I ran through that kind of fast, but just whatever your mindset is, just look at it. No shame, no blame. Just think about it if you're wanting to get a better handle on your time. If you're even just willing to think, it's possible I do have enough hours in the day, and that with the right mindset and a little more organization, I can feel more on top of things, because it is a great feeling at the end of each day to be like, yeah, maybe I didn't get everything done, but I got to my top priorities, to the things that I said I was going to get done. It's really, really interesting to work on managing your mind and managing your time, because there's a couple of things that start to happen as you do this. As you work on your mindset and work on, planning and scheduling a little bit more, a couple of things start to happen. First of all, you might be able to see that, I actually do have enough time for all the things that I've got going on right now. And once you put something in your schedule, and say you're going to do it, you're going to find out really quickly why you're not getting things done. Because a lot of times when that time that we've set aside to even say do the mopping or something comes up on our schedule, suddenly our brain's going to want to go a bunch of different places and be like, but what about the laundry? But what about starting dinner? Or what about, the vacuuming, something like that. And you're going to start to see why it is so hard to maybe make a plan and stick to it, because our brains want to react to all the other things that we've noticed during the day, whether it's I was going to do the mopping, but then I realized, wow, the vacuuming also needs doing, so maybe I should do that first. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go on, and hopefully you'll understand what I mean. But I'm not going to get it all into this podcast, but I'm going to share with you my current time management system that is kind of a conglomeration of lots of different ways that I've studied of doing time management. So for the physical process of doing my time management system, there's just 3 things that I use. One of them is a piece of paper that's divided, and I'll explain about that in a minute. A planner, any kind of planner can work, whatever you like in a planner, big, small, just so you have the days of the week on there and some space to write. And a 4x4 lined sticky note, or even a smaller sticky note, is totally fine. I like the 4x4 lined ones. So here's how I use those things. I start by setting aside a time. I like Sunday planning. At the Life Coach School, they teach Monday Hour 1, which I think sounds really cool, but I want to be ready to go on Monday, so I like to do my planning on Sunday. But you can get the gist just from the title of that, Monday Hour 1. It's like when they plan out their weeks and stuff, that's how they teach it at the Life Coach School. So during my Sunday planning session, I have a list that I've created, and I'm going to try to link to something to show you in the podcast notes it's kind of a template for all the different categories of things I do. And as moms, we all have a lot of similar things that we do every single week: shopping, errands, cooking, lessons, extracurricular activities, social events, games, lessons, performances, practices. Maybe I already said practices. Those kinds of things. We all have some of those every single week, I'd say. So I have a template, and mine has different things than anyone else's would. I have my real estate activities and the podcast and other things that are on there. So it's just a template, just like a checklist I can go through and say, okay, what's coming up this week? When am I going shopping? What errands do I have? What cleaning do I need to get done? What social events are happening? Or what ones do I want to create, like a date night or something like that? Do we have any birthday parties coming up? Because that would tie into the shopping and the errands. So I just use that. And then on the other side of that paper, divided in half, I'll just be jotting down the things that come up, like during the previous week. Oh, birthday party coming up next week, or I really need to, go out and rake the leaves, or clear out the rain gutters, or take my car in for an oil change or something like that, or tire rotation. So I don't just immediately do those the previous week when I think of them, unless they are urgent. I will just put them on my list to take care of them during the next planning session. So I go ahead and fill in everything from there that has a set time, like if it's a kid's practice or lesson or a party or a performance or something that's coming up during the week. I just get that all in my planner in its correct time. And so that starts to fill out my planner. And then I fit in the things that don't have a set time, like cleaning, shopping, paying the bills, doing some car maintenance, something like that. I will start to plug those in at certain days and times. I really like Monday for a prep day. I really like to have my shopping for the week done. I'm not that great at shopping for the week, to be honest. Like a lot of times I'll end up going back and doing some more shopping, but I do like to get as much as I can knocked off that list on Monday. And so, but whenever it makes sense, I like to actually, this is a little bit of a sideline, but I like to think of the week in two parts. So Monday through Thursday afternoon is half the week, and then Thursday afternoon to Sunday is, and I do find there's a good time that sort of where my energy naturally flows at the beginning of the week. I want to just like hit all those things that are on my list and get those done. And I like to save sort of lower priority things, like maybe going to get a pedicure or a haircut for the towards the end of the week when I'm just not in like super productive, energetic mode anymore. But that's kind of a sideline. So whatever works for you, but I do find it helpful to think of the week that way. And I'll come back to that in a little bit. So then the last thing is assigning a time for anything you want to do that's not already on there. You can even do this first. Schedule your fun time, your date nights, your free time. If that's a big priority, you can do that first. And then you can come back to the other things that you just want to assign a time to, whatever works for you. The important thing is as you fill this out for the week, you will start to see, I don't know how your life is, but I am often surprised at the amount of white space that there actually is when I plan my time this way. And that is where all of life happens. All the things that you're not going to write in your planner, like I'm making dinner, I'm doing the laundry, I'm running the kids here and there. All that stuff is, you don't have to write that down, right? You know you're going to do that. And that is all of the life happening, the everyday stuff, the being flexible. Like, I don't have any kids in school anymore, but during their junior and senior years, a lot of times they would not have a full-time schedule because they'd be in college classes. And so they just come in the house during the day. And I really enjoyed just being there and being able to spend time chatting with them if everyone else was at school. And so I like to see a lot of white time in my calendar. And, depending on whether you have a full-time job outside the home or something like that, that might make a huge difference in how much white space you have in your calendar. But just like with your home, if it's feeling cluttered, if you do get your schedule laid out and it looks really cluttered, might be a good time to ask yourself some questions about like, what are my priorities for this season of life? Is there anything on here that just isn't my highest priority so that I can have that breathing room in my schedule so I don't feel all frantic and hectic? And especially we have the holidays coming up, and that's just, more time commitments, more social activities piled on what's probably an already pretty full life. So I think it's really important to maybe take that time to schedule and plan and prioritize so that you're not just completely wiped out and overwhelmed by the holidays. I know I am guilty of getting to Christmas Eve and just being like, oh my goodness, wow, that was a whirlwind from Thanksgiving to Christmas. And I love to make Christmas special. My husband and I, it's the only time he ever really gets into shopping is over the Christmas holidays, and he becomes like Mr. Santa Claus, and I love it. But it's still a lot of extra work. And, it's not like I didn't know Christmas is coming. I could really prepare for it any time of the year. But for whatever reason, I leave it for those like 30 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So those are just some suggestions. Just have a template that's got your things that just repeat every week. And so you can figure out, you can quickly like jog your memory to see if you've got everything, and then, fill in everything with a set time, assign the things that you're going to be doing that don't have a set time. And the sticky note system is something I learned from a conference I went to where I heard a woman named Melanie Hawk speak. I don't know if this is her concept or not, but I liked it. It was one of those things that I just adopted as soon as I heard it. So get a sticky note for each day, line it down the middle. You can even have a third section, but I won't go into that. But line it down the middle, and on the left side, just write yourself a bullet point of any tasks that are between like 15 minutes and 2 hours that you're going to do that day. And somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 3 might be about right for you. Remember, some of them are only 15 minutes. So some days I have up to like 5 on there that are like closer to 15-minute tasks and maybe like 1 2-hour task. So you know what those are, and just that like 1 to 3 is great for sort of practicing what you say that you're going to do, and just be like, okay, if I only get 1 done, which is it going to be? If I could get 3 things done today, outside of all the normal things that we know we need to take care of, or I guess I should say along with that, what would it be? And then the right-hand side, you can use that is a space to remind you, like, I need to call the school. I need to call the doctor and make an appointment. I need to follow up about this, insurance thing or whatever it is. So that is your under 15-minute task. And I'm not talking about like laundry, like I said, things that that you're going to do regularly, unless you're a laundry person that does it like all on one day. That would go on the left-hand side so that you can, know that you're going to set aside 2 hours. Laundry is a priority today, that kind of thing. So I hope that's helpful. It's a little hard to explain and just on audio, but if I get really ambitious, I'll make a video about it or something. But that's already a lot to take in for this one podcast. So I don't want to completely bombard you or overwhelm you. I'm just going to end though with a few principles that I find super helpful with my time management strategies after I have looked at and worked on my mindset and at least allowed for the possibility that, yes, I do have enough time and my time is my own to choose and decide my priorities. One thing I really like is front loading my weeks. So if there's some big priorities for the week, I like to try and do those the first few days of the week. Maybe it's like, right now I need to take my daughter, or she needs to take her car somewhere and get the tires rotated and balanced, right? So that could be a Friday afternoon task when life's not so busy, but it could be a Monday morning or, Monday, Tuesday kind of thing where like, oh, I'm for sure getting that done this week. So whatever those things are for you, I like to front load my weeks and I like to front load my days if at all possible, because I know like if I say I'm going to record the podcast in the afternoon, a million things can come up between them and the afternoon, but the mornings are usually a little more like no one's calling me yet and real estate things are happening by that time. So front loading your days and trying to get to those top priorities early in the day is helpful, because then you're still available to make dinner, help kids with homework, do the dishes, get the bedtime routine going, all of those things later in the day. Give adequate time for your daily routine tasks. Like, those aren't the things we want to rush through so that we can get to life and to the important things. Those are a lot of what life is made up above. There we go. As a mom, there's a lot of just daily tasks that we're going to be doing, just taking care of the kids. And if we can know that we're on top of the other things outside of that, we can do that with a lot more calm and peaceful energy, and the kids won't feel like a distraction and we won't be so preoccupied. And there's one more, and then I'm going to leave you with a thought. The other thing is, I have seen a popular YouTuber that uses this block system of scheduling, and she's just like, this is my cleaning block or something like that on her schedule. And I think that's generally a good concept, but I find it so much more effective to say exactly what result I will create in that time block. I will mop the kitchen floor. For me, that's like an hour-long task because we have a lot of wood floor in our house. So I don't want to just say cleaning in that time block because to my brain, that's like a giant blob of information. So I want to put down a specific cleaning task that I'll do, and probably just one. If it's a 1 hour time block, I can get only the mopping done. And so if I put down that I'm getting mopping done and not cleaning done, then it gives so much more of a sense of calm and satisfaction because I did that one thing. If bathrooms was on the cleaning block for that day, it's so great for your brain to be like, I said I was going to do the bathrooms. I did the bathrooms. I can trust myself, or I did one bathroom and then this other thing happened, and that's just good information. So here's the thought I want to leave you with. I listened to a book recently called Loving What Is by Byron Katie. And for various reasons, life coaches love this book. But one of the lovely ideas that she had in there that I took away and I've been using all the time is there's always just one thing to do. I love this thought. It is so calming for my brain. When I start trying to multitask, like I'm in the drive-through and I'm trying to send a text and I'm calling the insurance company while I'm on the side, like, I don't know, on Facebook or something. When I pause and I say, there's always just one thing to do. Like I'm going to focus and finish what I'm doing now. And then I will move on to that other thing, even if it's just something, totally unnecessary, like getting on Facebook. But anyway, you might want to try out that thought and see what effect that has on your mind. There's always just one thing to do because truly the research shows you cannot multitask. You can stack tasks, like you can go for a walk and listen to an audiobook, but you can't do two different tasks at the same time that require your attention, you to be doing something. My husband always thinks he's listening to me while he's playing games on his phone, but to me, it doesn't feel like he's listening. Just kidding. I love you, husband. But we are such a multitasking bunch of people, but the best and most effective way to use your time is to focus and finish one thing at a time. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for being here. I hope that if this podcast is helpful to you, you will share it with a friend, text it to a friend. I don't care, send them a letter. Rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. That really helps me get the word out to other people. I will talk to you next time. Bye, mamas. Hey Mama, thanks for listening to the show today. If you enjoy the ideas I share on my podcast, but you want some help applying them to your personal situation, I want to invite you to learn more about my coaching program, where I talk to moms on a personal basis through one-on-one coaching and group calls. We can talk about anything from the personal challenges that you're experiencing in marriage or motherhood to the goals and dreams that you have for yourself. To find out more and download a copy of my free book, Mom Mindset A to Z, visit mom-mindset.com. I'd love to see you there.